All right, this is Pre-Algebra Unit 3, Lesson 10. We're starting inequalities. We've kind of finished up the equations part of this. This is on page 16 of your notes. Pause your video. Do these warm-up problems. All right, when you are adding decimals or subtracting decimals, you need to line the decimal point up. It's probably a mental math problem. Think of this as $8 plus $6.24 is $14.24. But if you do not know how to do that mentally, you need to write 8 as 8.00 because that's where the decimal point is. Line up the decimal point. Bring it straight down into your answer. Oh, that's a 2-4. I wrote it wrong, sorry. All right. Subtraction. Again, line up the decimal point. And in this one, the 9 needs to go on top because that's bigger than the 6. When you're subtracting, the bigger number always goes on top. Now, you must add 0. You need to borrow. When you borrow, please borrow one step at a time. I can't borrow from this 0. Can't borrow here, so I need to go to the 3. The 3 becomes a 2. That makes that a 10. Now I need to borrow from it. It becomes a 9. That makes that a 10. Now I can subtract. 10 minus 7 is 3. 9 minus 4 is 5. 2 minus 2 is 0. Bring down the decimal point. 9 minus 6 is 3. All right, multiplying. Remember, ignore the decimal points and multiply the numbers. 12 times 4 is 48. And then let's count how many decimal places we have in the things we're multiplying together. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I start here. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, dividing decimals. The first number or the number on top always goes in the box. Now, when you are dividing, the number that you are dividing into, the one that's going into the bigger one, or this one, move the decimal over 1, because you've got to make this a whole number, which means you're moving it over 1 here. Bring the decimal straight up into your answer. 5 goes into 12 2 times. That's 10. Subtract. Bring down the 2. 12 minus 10 is 2. Bring down the 5. 5 goes into 25 5 times, which is a terminating decimal that works out to be 0. The answer is 2 and 5 tenths. All right. We are on page 16 in your notes. We are talking about inequality. This is an equation. 4x plus 7 equals 10. That is an equation because it's an equal sign. This 4x plus 7 is less than 10. That is an inequality. Same exact thing as an equation, except where an equation has an equal, an inequality has one of these 4 symbols. Write these in this section of notes. This is less than. This is less than or equal to. This is greater than. And this one is greater than or equal to. That's what that line means. Now, I'm going to write some notes here, and then we'll go over some examples that will help you understand. You are going to have an open circle, which looks like this. 4 greater than or less than. Whoops, greater than or less than. You are going to have a closed circle, which is filled in or solid, 4 greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. Now, let's take a look at this. Draw a number line and graph the following. So, you always want to have your variable on the left to do this. This says x is less than 7. So, when you draw your number line, I don't think you need to write a million numbers on this. I would put the number that is the edge, which is 7. Put one to the right and one to the left. It says x is less are less than 7. So we are putting an open circle on 7. Why is that open? Because 7 is not less than 7. So that open circle is showing that 7 is not part of the solution. But 6.999 is. So I'm going to shade down this way because all these numbers down here on this number line are less than 7. Let me show you a trick. You can put an arrow there. Look which way it's pointing. The shading goes to the left. So this is showing me that 7 is not part of the solution, but 6.99 is, 6 is, 5 is, negative 10, every number down here. So when you do this, I like to put the shading a little bit above, and you need to put an arrow on the shading so you can show all the numbers down here are less than 7. So when we solve this one, x is greater than or equal to negative 2. That's our solution. Let's graph it. Here's negative 2. Now, when you draw your numbers on the number line, remember, negative 3 is to the left. So it says x is greater than or equal to negative 2. Well, negative 2 is part of the solution because if I put negative 2 in here, negative 2 is greater than or equal to negative 2 because it's equal to. Which way are the numbers greater than? Up here to the right. So I shade. X is greater than negative 4. Here's negative 4, negative 5, negative 3. X is greater than negative 4. So open circle because it's not equal to negative 4. Greater than to the right. Think about a number line. The big numbers are to the right, the little numbers are to the left. If I drew this number line, what would this graph be? Well, x is, it's going to the left. So less than, it's got a solid circle or equal to 5. One other example. Let's do an open circle. This is all x. X is going, it's greater than, because that's the way it's pointing towards the big numbers, greater than, it does not have